Alright, so welcome to the Game Lounge, and I wanted to talk about this is bonus material for my stream that I'm going to have in a little bit. Last game I played was Seek or Die. It's a very, very awesome game, by the way. But I wanted to talk about this dude. K Jizzle. That's what I'm calling him, K Jizzle from now on. I have a little bit of time before I leave out, before my dental appointment. So again, this is going to be some bonus material that I'm going to add into my my stream for a little bit later. So again, I plan on doing a YouTube game. I don't know what game I'm going to play, but he mentions to TMZ now. He had a long conversation with TMZ, and I guess TMZ didn't like to hear that slavery sounds like a choice. But I listened to the whole thing. I listened to the whole thing, the entire video, and I guess it just ticked off a lot of people. But what he was really trying to say was, I guess, we should get rid of, we should have free thought. Free thought. So, with that being said, to play in his part, to play in his side, I guess, he wants to have a thought where we're not slaves here. We don't act like it. Though we walk around and I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm a broadcast. I'm gonna do what I want to do. Hey, I'm good. I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and I don't have to go to work. If I have to think about me only right now, I can wake up tomorrow morning. I'm going to be retired. I don't have to go back to work. I did 20 years, literally right now. I'm coming up on that 20. I don't have to go to work. Everybody else, I don't have to get up and go serve McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to go and no, I'm gonna do what I want. So that's, I think, the type of thought he wants, or he's imposed or proposed, or whatever it was. But I think he's lacking a lot of education here. So notice he used very convincingly free thought and sounds like a choice. Okay, free thought and sounds like a choice. All right, so I'm not gonna decipher any of Kanye West's thoughts. However, I will say that those are some very dangerous words to hear. He has a very dangerous intent of communicating his message, and I say that's a very dangerous intent. Look, I'm telling you right now, and when you hear people talk like that, for instance, let's go back in time. Let's talk about the first part of his words, all right? Because the first part of his words was, we should have free thought. Well, slavery was a business. It was a business, all right? Look, honestly, if you look at it like this, as an example, I get on the internet and I trade somebody on the internet for this Raymond game card. There it is. It's Raymond. It's probably the lights messing it up, but that's Raymond. This is for the PS Vita. I will give them my PS Vita, Raymond, for their cleaning wipes. I got some cleaning wipes. So that person gives me their cleaning wipes. I give them the PS Vita. Both items are going to work for me and do something, right? I'm going to put this in the game cartridge. It's going to turn on. I'm going to take one of the wipes out and it's going to make my table clean, all right? And if that's the slavery mindset he's talking about, it was a business. He's talking about 400 to 500 years. Before that, it was a business. When you're talking about trading, we trade. We still do it. We just changed the name. We call it immigration system now. Immigration reform. We did. That's exactly what we did. We had to abolish it. The form of slavery we were doing, it was a very dangerous one. But when you go back and you do your homework, you do some history lessons, slavery was a business. All right. So I'm going to trade this African American woman for some gold. That gold is going to get them money to buy equipment so that they can mine and resources and stuff. And then that woman would work or do whatever for their master until he's done. Then that person, right, would get the resources. This group of Africans down here get the resources and gold and stuff, and then would later trade the gold back for this woman again. So after this guy did whatever he did with the woman, had her clean, mow, soak, do the laundry and stuff. Now I'm going to trade him this much money. He didn't have to work. You see, he doesn't have to work at all. So he's got money now in his pocket. And then he goes and later gets more money and does the same thing. It's a business, back and forth. All right, it's a very dangerous practice in some cases, but that was the business. So it was natural for people to do that stuff. But the free thought piece came into play, and it had nothing to do with slavery. It was the fact that you had structure, and you had people that didn't want to follow structure. You had people that want to do what they want to do, be what they want to be, walk around, say whatever. And guess what? The guy used the moon to look for north, and he got lost. That's north right there. You know who I'm talking about? Christopher Columbus. The guy, he's in the history books. But when you dig a lot more into the history books of Columbus's party, dude, that motherfucker was out of control, man, by himself and with his crew, his ships. If you ever go to Jamestown, as a kid, let me just say this. I went to Jamestown as a kid. My mom and dad took me there. And to include, we went on a field trip. Matter of fact, that was the case. We went on a field trip because we didn't go to Busch Gardens in Williamsburg to stop by Jamestown. Me and my family, we went to have fun on the roller coasters, Busch Gardens. The Loch Ness Monster, when it first came out, it was fun as hell. But I went on a field trip, and so as a kid, I'm like, I'm with the teacher and the tour guide. All my friends were all going through the house, and the tour guide is, hey, you know what? This is where such and such did such and such. And we're like, oh, as little kids, you're so fascinated. You don't see things. Your teacher, hey, come on, guys, let's go. Come on, let's go. Let's get back on the bus. Let's go eat lunch. I had some sandwiches, man. Like, my mom made like a whole bunch of sandwiches. Bought my own food. You know, you have that bread and you have like the triple layer mayonnaise all on the cheese on the mayonnaise, and you, ah man, got back off the bus, took the last bit. Oh wow, this is cool. Then we're all sleepy and tired. Then we go back to Norfolk in Virginia to our school. Now I went there as an adult, so I see all the little kids running around doing what I did, and I'm like, wow, this is interesting. And the tour guide's over here to the far right, talking to the people. Hey guys, so you know, back in 18, boo, 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 and they've recited that every day. They'll only say X, Y, and Z. I stopped to look at the posters, and you can clearly see where it says wanted Negroes. This guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy broke free and took off and ran. If you see these guys, another poster had didn't have like my name, Eric Smith. All right, it had Brown, Jordan. Hope the names register, because those names means a lot today. It means a lot. I'm telling you right now. That's where the shit happened down in damn Williamsburg, all the way down through the South, North Carolina, South Carolina, all through that area. I specifically named those two names, and that's all they had. They didn't have a first name. They didn't have a last name. They didn't give them. They gave them fucking names because they didn't care who the fuck they were. It was Jordan, Brown, Eli, Smith, Hutch, Coon. Look for these coons. And that shit blew my mind. All that little stuff was there. And there's lots of posters there. There's lots of information there. You could see just the the history is still there, man. And, you know, I applaud them for maintaining history. And I'm going to tell you who you didn't see a lot of there. You're looking at him right now. All right. And I'm glad to have seen it as an adult. It was a very eye-opening experience. Down the road, me and the wife, we took a trip to, and for the record, my wife's Caucasian. Me and my wife took a trip to Fort Belvoir to see George Washington's house on a weekend. We just wanted to say, hey, let's take a tour. Let's go through, because that's what I'm going to do when I retire. I'm going to go hit every damn state. Again, I'm probably going to we're going to mark it and say, okay, this is where we haven't been. Let's go here. All right. And what you had was George Washington's house. It wasn't like, and he said that's the original house he lived in. So off to the left, you had a nice little lake. I guess to the back, you had a really nice lake. It's like, wow, you had a lake. Man, grass ain't cut today, but it's nice and big back there. You could stand off, get a nice breeze. It's like, wow. Go inside. First of all, the walls were like cardboard, almost like a plywood cardboard. You could push the walls in. Like, you could bend the walls. It wasn't like today where you had, our walls are sturdy, brick, solid, or wood, or whatever. I'm sure there's wood behind the rock and drywall and stuff. Our houses are very sturdy, but his house was like cardboard. You push the wall in, you could just move it like this. A lot of people have never got outside to look at stuff, and so that's why I'm giving you this experience. And I was like, wow, then I go inside, and I was like, wow, this guy's living like a king. This is George Washington. Got a chandelier, had his own maids, and the guy had his own service, and they showed us where he was born. the bedroom he was born in. I was like, wow, so he was born here, he stayed here. Okay, cool. You know, so I was like, wow. And then you go outside, like, so out of the front door. If you're looking from the outside in, it's off to the right. But if you're coming from the outside of the door, you go left, and you can see the big yard of these brown houses. Me and my wife was like, hey, you know, have you ever been over that area? She said, no, we haven't been there. I said, let's go over here. Let's see, because there was nobody going over there. So we took a long walk. It was like a long little trail. You go around. You still come out to the parking lot, but you pass through that. And I was like, oh, I know what this is. And you could see this preserved today. You could see where the slaves lived. And it was like wooden houses. Kind of like, it wasn't even a house. It was like a fucking dog house. Where you put your dog at. You sleep in that shit. And shit on the ground. You could see the burnt out campfires where probably they sat around and they just counted down and prayed, man. Burns me up to see that fucking message. Not, sounds like a choice. So that's why I'm rolling into that, man. This sounds like a choice part. These people didn't come over to America, to the U.S. by a fucking choice. Before, when I grew up, people just called me, I'm a black dude. Then, not by choice, I'm called an African American when I fill out paperwork in the school systems and it says, give me your ethnicity, African American. Doesn't say white or black anymore, or Caucasian or Negro. It said African American. Okay, I'll accept that. Because socially, did I come from Africa though? I don't know. I was never born. I think if I was born in two places and raised in another, I think I could accept that, But I could just say, hey, I'm an American. That's politically correct, right? So this is where all that shit breeds from. It's been breeding for years. It's like that wasp net that's just been sitting there, and then somebody walked by and Kanye tapped it, and all the fucking wasps just came out of nowhere, right? So they didn't have a choice. People didn't have a choice, man. Motherfuckers ain't have a choice. All right, that the same guy I talked about who got lost decides to fucking come back, man. And look, when we ignore people like Stephen Hawkins, we repeat history. And rest in peace for that man. Bless his heart. But he specifically told us, look, I love physics, but when you play in a bowl of soup that ain't yours, and you ain't touched, and you ain't dare build, and you have not, as a society, have come together as one union, then what makes you think you are going to want to go to another society or call upon another society to just say hi? That's exactly what happened, man. And we sent shit into space thinking, hey, we're gonna meet some new guys. Oh, I want to meet some widgets. That cartoon show with the purple alien, and they're not your friends, man. The motherfuckers will. I'm telling you right now, they're not your friends, and they are ready to they're standing here just like this. Cool. Just watching them. That's all we're doing. And then the day you meet them and you say, oh, I think this guy was pretty nice, you don't know what agenda they have. So that's what happened with Columbus. He came and met all these Native Americans. All right. And we called them Indians, but they were really black people. It was really this right here. Dark-skinned black people. He met this girl, Pocahontas. He said, hey, damn, she is fine. I like this. Cool. Took her back over there. Put her in some type of royalty, same shit we see today with the prince, Harry and all those guys. Hey, I'm gonna go get a girl from wherever I want, bring them back to the UK, and hey, we're gonna have a party. Well, that's what Columbus did. He did the same shit. All right. And then guess what? He turned around, brought his fucking army, and he just fucked it. He fucked the system. All right, he invaded. He fucked the system, and he ended up coming through my town, Norfolk, Virginia, as a matter of fact. Norfolk was a city full of Native American tents. If you go to Norfolk and you find the old pictures of Norfolk before it was Norfolk, full of freaking Native American tents, Indians, and I'm talking about wiping that shit out. Like all these reservations, the freaking Europeans just wiped that shit out, man. Just gone. Now, don't get me wrong. During all that, the Native Americans had slaves too. Right? So guess who were the slaves? You're looking at him. All right? So that it wasn't just Caucasian people who was doing all this slavery, and not by choice. All this shit just came about. Now, with that being said, that's something I think Kanye should do. It would be healthy for him to, if he had said, I read this book and I want to discuss this book and the writer's intent of the book, and then this is what spurred my thought, then you wouldn't have this problem. But now you got a problem where the Crips and Bloods are looking for you, man, because that's why that organization got started. Your fucking free thought, his free thought. That is exactly why you have all these mobs, these Crips, these Bloods. Look, they are good people too. They are in no way, shape, or form. These Crips and Bloods are bad people. It's because they portrayed Daz Dillinger on the screen. Oh, that's a criminal act. Well, I'm telling you, that's the shit that, that's why the Black Panther Party was formed, man. Because we had these type of thinkers walking around here, just like Kanye, man. Another experience, Germany, and that was the eye opener, because all my life I only thought about slavery in America, and I never took into account that Adolf Hitler was a very, very, very dangerous individual. And there's a website called the Farsight Institute, and the reason I wanted to talk about that is, and to wrap this up into Sounds Like a Choice now, the Farsight Institute, I think the guy, I'm not sure about, he's a white guy. Matter of fact, I'm not sure. Again, I never emailed and asked him, hey, what's your ethnicity? Because like I said, to another friend of mine, I met someone on stream. She was white. I thought she was white. She said she lived in South Africa, and she has a Caucasian appearance, but she said, no, I'm African, So I said, oh, okay, that's cool. So that's why I got into the whole thing. I said, hey, maybe I should say I'm American. So they do a lot of remote viewing, and it could just be random things, random targets, and they use something called an astral projection, and they put themselves into another place at any time. That's some far out shit, right? Maybe that's why they call it the far sight. They did one on what's called War on Heaven. Now, a lot of people, first, as far as remote viewing, first of all, I didn't really believe in remote viewing, because when you get down into that level, when I mention the War on Heaven, I'm talking about religious beliefs. It challenges a lot of things that we've already come to know. So I won't impose that you go see that stuff, but if you read a couple of you see what people do online. Edward Riordan is another guy who does it, and basically he can describe exactly where he is. If he wants to, if someone gives him a target to the North Pole, he will draw it out on the board and tell you what's there now. He'll if someone gave him a target of me sitting here, he'll draw it out and say, you know what, I see a guy and it'll look funny at first, and then he'll write down all these words and they put it together, and you know, comes out to be what they say. Well, there was a website I was looking at. It was a podcast where someone did a remote view on Adolf Hitler. I didn't believe this shit, and I don't know what to think, but I do know that this sounds like a choice. Kind of made me think, you know what? I think Adolf Hitler exists in more than one places. So the result of the remote viewing was Hitler came from another place. When they actually tried to look at him before he was here on Earth, he had a demon appearance, and you know, the reviewer, the remote viewer, was like, something, whatever it was, something pulled me out of there and said, I don't want you looking at that. Now, you know, I don't know what that something is, but I do believe what that something is. I've never seen that something, but I think I know what that something is. When he said that, something pulled him away from it. So basically, he was able to see Hitler before he was Hitler, and he was responsible on another place for millions of massive murders, mass killings. He was responsible for it. When he said that, I'm telling you, I dropped my water that day. I had a cup of water, I'm sipping it, and I said, what the fuck? And he can move anywhere. Again, that challenges a lot of beliefs, because they say, hey, you go to heaven or hell, but when you can see that someone came from another place with the same thought process as somebody like him, who's trying to convince everybody that slavery sounded like a choice, it wasn't. So, you know, Hitler believed, or basically, you know, he killed his, I think, what was it? He killed his father. I could be wrong about that. Maybe he killed some of his family members. But if you didn't have blonde hair and blue eyes, because he wanted a perfect world, you don't have a choice. Guess where you're going? You're going to one of his prison camps in Germany. And there were multitudes of prison camps. The one in particular I seen was Auschwitz. If anybody ever have the opportunity to go to Auschwitz and take a look at that prison camp, that is a fucking camp. And that's where he held those people. Russians, if not Americans, anybody in the war, before the war, Germans, Asians, LBGT, that was a November fucking golf. That was a no-go, hell no in Germany at the time. Lesbian, gay, and bi, no, he cutting your head off. So he held people in those prison camps and he poured acid on them. And there's a movie about it. I have it. It's in my house. If I find it, I'll put it in the comment section below for this particular bonus material. But there was a movie about it where a little boy meets another little boy behind a wall, and that little boy didn't know. The boy on the outside was the kid of one of the soldiers' mom, and the little boy will go see the boy in prison, whatever. See him, and he was curious. He was like, "Oh, that looks cool behind the wall." And the other little kid was like, "Yeah, I've been here." And eventually, what happened was the kid from the outside convinced the kid. The kid on the inside of the prison convinced the kid on the outside to switch with him, because he said, "Oh, I want to play too." He thought it was a game. The little kid on the outside, because he didn't have blonde hair and blue eyes, he switched clothes. He put on the other kid's clothes, civilian clothes, and he took the fuck off. The kid on the inside now, he's like, Well, I just switched clothes with him. Where'd he go? Was he took off like kid on the inside got raked in with the prisoners, and they ended up killing them because they poured an acid shower on him and the prisoners. He didn't even know what was going on. So he you know, that kid lost his life. Very, very interesting movie. Guess what? None of them people had a choice, man. He came up with a rule. He imposed a rule, and that was it. That was the straw. You follow, you die. You know. So slavery, that kind of slavery, you don't have a choice. When it's not a business, even if it was a business, you still don't have a choice. So all that thinking and his, you know, that's why I said, you know what, I don't know if that's Kanye. That can't be him. You know, when I talked about somebody who transcends time from another place, and they end up here on Earth, and you know, they could be anybody, man. It's wild to see that now. And I was like, wow, I didn't think that was possible. I thought, of course, people, you know, are imperfect. Nobody's perfect. But when you want to get the world's attention, that's how you do it. You come up with this thought process, and you try to convince. You want to be a part of that group that convinces people that, you know, that this is a good idea to, you know, I think I'm gonna follow him. Copernic did it. He did it, and there's other, you know, and you gotta think about these people, the names of the people who are doing it. They're all famous people, you know. These people, you know, not to get religious, but there's so much wisdom in the Bible. And I'm not talking about somebody parting water. I'm talking about just general knowledge in there. Like I said, I didn't believe it, but I think it's true that there are more people like him that are slowly trying to convince you and I that this is okay. You know, this is all right to do. And my take on it, like I've given you my experiences. Those were my 3 experiences. In response to this guy, I you know, I'm not gonna throw away who I am, my beliefs. I'm not gonna throw away my knowledge. I'm not gonna change for anybody. And I think that's what happened to him. I think that's what happened to Michael Jackson. There's a lot of people that's doing that now. You know, I got famous. Look at my family, the family I'm around, the churches I'm going to. I'm gonna, you know, and the other thing that semi convinces people is the internet. I'm gonna get on the internet and read, you know, read these articles that have no sources to them. I'm gonna listen to Joe 56, and you don't know who the fuck Joe 56 is, you know. And so a lot of this stuff, I just think he needs to seriously talk to a scholar, go visit a lot of places. He can start with the national. He can just go up to the Lincoln Memorial, just look at that, and stand in front of the Lincoln Memorial and read. When it becomes when it doesn't become a choice, then somebody has to take action and make it so we don't have a choice, but we have absolute freedom. And I think it's again, thoughts like that right there, you know, kind of sends a bad message. You know, this is how I begin to think this is how Hitler turned to be Hitler. You know, this is how these guys are breeded and born, because you know they start thinking like that. You know, they start thinking that the world is against them. You know, just recently, if you haven't been paying attention, look at South Korea, man. Kim Jong. His thought changed, man. His view of the United States and everything changed, just like that, man. Shit changed. South Korea, him, and they shook hands for the first time, man. That was unbelievable. And you know, he made a choice. He seen the future. He made a choice, man. You know, there's no point of trying to cause havoc and war when this is the only place you live. But when you start having that kind of mind, it's like whatever was in Kim Jong left him and went straight into Kanye. And I believe it. I believe that shit happens, man. One day you're one person, next day he's like, what the fuck did he just say? Weren't you just on tour with Jay-Z or somebody? Or, oh, wait a minute. Okay. Now today you're a history teacher. You're trying to tell me slaves had a choice. You know, it's like, how did this happen? And sometimes, man, you know, and in his case, you know what? Honestly, he put himself in a place he can't get out of. He's in a place where now he's mentally trapped somewhere. And when society, you know, when you look at the Salem witch trials up in Salem, they're going, I think it's Virginia, you know, where they burned those witches, man, because they were practicing some dangerous voodoo shit, man. They were doing some dangerous stuff, man. You know, society is not with it. Hey, I'm sorry, somebody just put you on the cross and they're gonna burn you, and that's exactly what happened to him. Now I hear, you know, he's moving to Montana, him and his wife, his family. Montana, I knew somebody from Montana, and she was like, hey, ain't nothing out there. It's cold. Nobody there, though. I mean, it's people there, you know, but it's cold. You can live in a secluded house all by yourself if you want in Montana, you know. But again, I think he just threw away his values. Just to close this off, just quickly threw away all his values. It's not the fact that he has a Republican mind or he's behind a Republican idea like Donald Trump. I don't think President Trump has anything to do with what he's saying right now. I don't think he would even endorse slavery at all. You know, that's not President Trump. And he's trying to hide behind President Trump to make it look like, oh, let's use America, make America great again. That's not what he's talking. That's not even Trump's message on make America great again, because he had a hat on and said make America great again. Basically, he's talking about just financially. We were financially crippled, man. You know, the Iraq War. I don't know. Even nobody really knows if it was a war, but it was a nice little conflict that had to be resolved, man. It had to be taken care of to stabilize the Middle East. You know, those people don't deserve to get blown up while you're going to school. You know what I'm saying? And you know, messages are. Kanye doesn't understand these messages, and he had nowhere else to turn that attention to. But matter of fact, you got to ask yourself too, what started all this shit? Like, how do you wake up in the morning, oh hey man, guess what, and start saying stuff? Like I said, one day you're one person, and next day you're somebody else from another planet somewhere, and you're speaking some dangerous shit. But yeah, that's my thought on it. That's my take on it. I had to give you my 3 experiences based on what he said, because you know there's gonna be a lot of people that don't like what he said. You know, and I think he's also putting this around a little bit around the Cosby trial. You know, I think he's just trying to figure out where do I send my message, and instead I think something just slipped out, the wrong message. You know, he tried to pour orange juice and he got tea, and I think that's really what happened here. So you know, if you want to leave your thoughts in the chat, in the comments below, that's fine. You don't have to. I don't even give a fuck about liking or disliking. I'm just giving you the real deal, what I think about this, because it becomes real when, you know, it becomes real when you're running away from some shit that now, you know, last night you were safe and you can go to the shopping mall, and now you have to hide in the fucking mountains, man. And yeah, you know, it's real, man. When you disrespect people, you know, or you think you're smart, you know, like a lot of other motherfuckers that was challenging me on Twitter, and you think that, you know, you think I'm not smart, you know, I'm gonna fire a shot right back at you, you know, and that's exactly what people are doing to him. They firing all them shots. So again, comments are free. I'm doing nothing but smiling. I'm smiling at this guy, man. He's serious as fuck. Look at his picture. You know, I'm smiling, man, because there's a lot of them out there like him. There's a lot more Kanye's, and he clearly said, "Why am I here? I'm not even supposed to be here in this particular CNN clip." He said, "You got it. You already know, man. I know you just love us to talk, but I'm just smiling, man, because you know, you can't even have a conversation like that with Jay-Z. There ain't no fucking way, especially after the last album he made. It's like, no, he was trying to send a message, the real message. I don't know, man. So I hope nothing ever happens to him. I pray for him and his family in good health, because there are a lot of people that get killed over stuff like this. You know, Martin Luther King got killed over this stuff, man, and you know, that's bad. You know, that's bad. You know, that's why I say, you know, you got to just be humble. You know, you can't change who you are, man. Just be respectful, maintain your values, love life, love each other, love people, love your animals. Don't beat your spouse, don't beat your girlfriend. Um, Respect the cultures across the board. You know, and you'll live in good health. And I hope everyone has a great weekend. If not weekend, day, night, evening, wherever you are. Game Lounge. Peace.